Okay, now we're going to be talking about units of time, weight, measurement, and we're going to go through some more of these rules. Depending on how long it's taking me, this may be the last lecture on subject-verb agreement, or we may go on to a fourth one. Um, when we're talking about units of time, weight, and measurement, we're looking at things like an inch, inches, miles, hours, minutes. And when we're talking about these, essentially it's important to keep in mind that when you talk about units of measurement, those are always essentially arbitrary distinctions. They're arbitrary measurements. So, if I was to hold my hands apart at 3 feet, you could essentially call that 3 feet 36 inches, right? And 3 feet is very close to what we call a meter. It's also 3 feet is also called a yard. If it's called a meter, then it's also 100 centimeters. If it's a meter, it's also 1,000 millimeters. So essentially, we have that same distance. It's one distance, but we have all these arbitrary ways of dividing it up. So they're really arbitrary, and so it's essentially a singular quantity that we're dealing with. And here's one with money. So $6 is all I can spare. And again, if I say $6, you don't really care whether it's $6 bills. You don't really care if it is I don't know, if it's 4 quarters in a $5 bill. You don't care if it's 10 dimes and $5 bills. What you care about when you talk about $6, when you talk about money, is what $6 can buy. So $6, is used to be 2 gallons of gas. Sadly, that may not be. I don't know. And maybe that'll be again. We'll see. $6 is maybe 2 gallons of milk on sale. I don't know. The idea is that it's what that value is that's important to us. Rule 8 says that group words, words that signify groups, words like family, the group, union, family, group, union, student body, faculty. When I have these kinds of words as my subject, even though they incorporate a lot of people, so my family maybe has more than one person in it, the group itself has more than one person, the union is made up of more than one person, etc. These are, when we talk about them working as one unit, they are one thing, one entity. So the student body is united. The student body is happy, etc. The student body supports an increase in homework. Probably not, but as a group then, they work together. Rule 9 says that if we have multiple subjects connected by and, the word and is kind of like a plus sign. So if I have one and one, the key here is that it's more than one, right? So the idea is that anytime I have and, I'm thinking of whether it's 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 3 and 1. Doesn't really matter. It's more than one. So it goes from being singular things to being plural things. So Bob and Jim individually, they would be singular, but here they are plural. They have wanted more homework for years. And so in that case then, even though they would have been singular, we want to make sure we have the plural verb. And again, it's the verb that goes with they. They have wanted more homework for years. This is the exception. So if I stick each, every, or any in front of a list of verbs with and, they go back to being singular. They go back to using a singular verb. So an example of that, every student and faculty member wants more homework. Student and faculty member those together with and, you'd think that it was more than one, but by sticking every in front of it, it makes it so that wants, I want, is going to be singular. So every tells us that we want to use that singular verb. Okay, it's not the subject. Keep in mind that every is not the subject. This is not the subject. So, but even though it's not the subject, it still is going to tell us that we need to have that singular verb. And this is the last rule that I'm going to, last couple of rules here, and they deal with the words or and nor. And Rule 11 in your book just says that if you have two singular subjects connected by or, you only use a singular verb. Okay, and the reason for that is that in a sentence like this, if I say either the dog or the cat, okay, dog or cat, okay, you might start thinking, oh, dog, there's two things there, dog and cat, right? But when I say either or, if I say the dog or the cat, I'm really telling you that only one of them did this action, has ruined. Okay? So I'm not saying that they both did it together. I'm not saying that the dog and the cat have ruined the carpet. I'm saying one or the other one. When I have a singular and a plural subject, and this is one that you really need to kind of you have to think through almost every time. I find myself having to think through this even though I've been teaching grammar for a while. If I have a singular and a plural subject joined by or nor, it only matters which one is closest to the verb, and that's the one that's going to determine the verb's form. So on this first one here, either the boy or his dogs. I've got boy and I've got dogs. Dogs is plural. It is closest to the verb, so I need to have the plural verb. Okay? If I flip those two subjects around, just switching them around, same sentence, dogs or boy, now I have a singular subject that's closest to the verb, and so my verb goes to was. Okay, it needs to be a singular verb, the verb that goes with she. Okay, and that's essentially all the subject-verb agreement rules that we have.